Hello everyone. I thought I'd go ahead and film this video on how I make the corrugated cards similar to these Recollections corrugated cards using this DCWV 6x6 stack. These are just individual corrugated cards that are 6x6 in size, and I like to have color sometimes rather than just the plain craft. So I use these to make cards at times, and I wanted to show you how I construct the actual card because these are single sheets. So what you're going to do is you're going to take two sheets of the corrugated card stack, and you're just going to remove them from the book, and taking care to not remove the perforated edge at the top, which is connected to the binding. Okay, so I have just taken apart my stack here, and I'm showing you these pieces here that are not cut yet. So you can see here, one of them you're going to actually cut this perforated edge off, and the other one you're going to leave it on. So that's the first thing I do with the pieces. So you end up with a piece that looks like this. One has the top and the other one does not. Okay, and I've also taken it and cut a 1/4 inch off that perforated edge. So you can see this is going to become the binding of your card. Okay, and the other piece I cut it off the top. I then took off the opposite side, or the adjacent side to the binding. I cut off a 1/2 inch on this side and a 1/2 inch on this side. Okay, so you end up, this piece will end up being, and let me measure it for everyone, it will end up being 5 3/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, and then the other piece will be 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. So the back piece, this piece that doesn't have that little flip at the top, is going to be your back piece of your card. So now I think you can all see where I'm coming from. You have a front and a back, and you have this little strip here that's the binding. And you can of course play with the dimensions, because you can make this binding a little smaller. And I say that because you'll know when I put it together what I'm talking about. Okay, so the next thing I do is I cut the inner lining for these cards, because this is not a pretty color. This is the back of the corrugated card stack. So I cut a lining for my card, and this lining is just some DCWV, it's like a little grid in yellow, and I got this out of the Dots Stripes paper stack. It's like a premium paper stack, so it's got glitter on it too on some of the pages, but this is just a plain grid in yellow. And this piece of paper started out as a 12 by 12, and it is now 5 inches wide. No, I'm sorry, 5 1/2 inches wide by 10 1/4 inches long. Okay, so what I have done is the other side is white, and that's going to be the back of the page. So I'm going to use this to line my inside of my card. So I've scored it, and I have scored it at 5 1/2 and 5 3/4. So when you put your card together, you're going to take the two pieces and you're just going to fit them around this cardstock. So what I'll do is I'll end up adhering the inner liner and the front, and it will go over the binding, and then I will adhere the back. And let me go ahead and do that, and I'm going to try and do this fairly quickly. Hopefully I get it right on the mark. Sorry I can't do this on camera. I just don't have enough room to do that with all the stuff that is on my desk. But I think You get the idea. Let me go ahead and turn it and see if I can get some of that in camera. So I apologize if I'm not on camera. One thing you want to keep in mind is you want all the corrugated pattern to go in the same direction. So I'm going to do the back first, and it doesn't really matter which order you do it in, just as long as you get it to all line up. And so stick this down. And it looks like I didn't get it all to line up because you can see this little edge. Let's see if I got it on the camera. You can see this little edge of white, and I can just trim that off. It's not going to be a big deal because it's just a liner that's showing. The card ends up being the same size. And let me do the back side. What I'm going to do is actually put the adhesive down on the white paper this time, just because I want to make sure there's good contact for the glue along the binding. Of course, it's not easy to do on this scoreboard, and excuse me if my arm is in the way. I'm having a hard time with this. I usually use my ATG gun, so let me switch over. I'm not used to those little... Let me use my ATG gun. Yeah, much better. Sorry, folks. So I'm just going to put some adhesive down, and then I'm going to line up the fold. See this fold? I'm going to line this up on the crease that I have put in the paper, and hopefully everything will work out as planned. So I'm just going to put that down on this cardstock. So now you have your card basically created for you, and you can see there's a little bit of the white that shows through. I guess if you were to this is the back of the card, so I don't think that matters too much, but if you were to put, you know, a yellow cardstock in here, it wouldn't matter too much. But again, I really don't care that you can see that little white in there. And so that's all I do, and you end up with a card, you know, obviously that has this lining in it, and you can then embellish it as you please. Now, just a comparison here, let me turn you all back around so I can see everything that's going on. Just a comparison here, and let me kind of run my hand on this. Here, these finished size of this card ends up being 5.5 by 5.5, which is exactly the same as the craft. So just note that, and you'll notice that here I'm holding it up so you can see the binding. As I said, you can play with the size of this binding, which of course you'd want to adjust the size of the lining as well, and make sure you cut it down. So if you want a smaller binding, you can do that. But one thing that you can do now is, a lot of times people like to put embellishments on the inside of the card, and you can't really do that when you have a narrow binding, but you can do that with this. You can put flowers inside now, because look how thick that is. And the other thing too is, if you decide that you want to make a smaller binding here, or corner, this will then fit inside of the craft envelope, so you don't have to make an envelope. I have one of the envelope punch boards, so I'm not really worried about having to make an envelope now, because it's so much faster using that tool. So yeah, so this is how I do it. And of course you can have the card go this way, so it opens up, like this, or you can have it go this way so it opens up like this. So that's how I make my cards, and that's how I'm able to have these corrugated card bases here out of different colors. So anyway, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'd be happy to answer. And thanks for watching. Bye.